Hey guys, my name is xOctoManx and this is part 16 of my turn-based battle system tutorial. In this part we will finishing up the hero input so we are able to perform magic attacks. So let's get started by opening up the battle state machine. Okay, so what we need to do next is we need to fiddle around for a second for the heroes itself to make magic attacks work, and of course we want to make sure that we already create one magic attack which we can use. So let's create at first an empty game object. This is going to be for our first fire spell, for example, or for any other spell. I'm going to call this one just fire1, that game object, and it will just be empty for now. Also, in my abilities tab under the prefabs, I will also create a new folder for my magic attacks, so I just call this one magic. Then what I can do is I can take that fire prefab and drag this one into the magic prefabs folder, so I have a prefab of fire already and don't need this one anymore in the scene. I can also go over and reset this one, or just take the prefab itself, go to that small gear and say reset position. I don't need to, but I want to. Now it's zeroed out and prepared to be another attack basically. What I need to do is I need to go into my base hero class, and what I want to make sure is that I create a new list which only heroes can choose from, and this is going to be a public list. And if you cannot or if we can't use list, or you can't list, make sure that you add this namespace using systems.collections.generic. Otherwise you are not able to use lists. Just remember that once again. So what we say we want to create a new list, and we want this to be of type base attack. Since every mana consuming or anything else, no, that's wrong, base attack is going to be inherited from base attack. Since we have mana codes, we want to use mana later on for every spell we are casting and so on and so forth. We just want to make sure that we use the base attack class for this list. So everything should work then. And we need to name this one, and I can just call this one, I don't know, magic attacks maybe. Then we want to say equals to new list of type base attack, just as easy as it is. Gonna save base 0 and can close this one off right now. And now we can create a new script for our fire spell itself. So we go into our scripts folder, attacks, magic attacks, right click, create new C# script, and I just call this one fire1 spell, for example. This fire1 spell will only have the base informations we already used in the hammer swing or in the slash abilities. So we can go to attacks, melee attacks, hammer swing, can look into that, and as you can see, we just inherit from base attack, and we just fill in the 4 basic informations into that. So we do the same for the fire1 spell. We get rid of mono behavior and instead we inherit from a base attack, since we only have or want that base informations. What we do is we create the constructor for this one, which is just public fire1 spell, like a function, or it looks like a function. And now we can add all the attributes like attack cost, damage, description and name. So the attack name is going to be equal to fire1. Maybe we will use those variables and stuff later on. The next one is going to be maybe the attack description. So maybe first or basic fire spell which burns nothing. I don't know, just be creative as you want to. In its basic, we don't need the description for now. We may later on work with the description. So the next one we need is of course the base damage. And as this is maybe, I don't know, 20F for example. And the next one is going to be the attack cost, which is again the mana consuming part. And maybe it costs, I don't know, 10 mana. Depending on how many we have at the beginning or on our heroes, this will cost more or less, depending again on the level and stuff. Don't forget to save fire spell 1 and just close this one, as we already, or we don't need them, or that one anymore. Then we go back to Unity and drag the fire 1 spell onto the fire 1 prefab. So open up the prefab that it is in the inspector, then go again to the magic attacks folder and drag in fire 1 spell directly onto the prefab. So we can use it, and we can also use every variable and value using or used by this one. Later on there will be more stuff, I believe, but for now it's pretty much okay that we have done that. We can also create another spell. It doesn't really matter, basically maybe a fire 2 spell or a, I don't know, any spells we want. So what we can do is we could basically duplicate that fire 1 spell in here. We create a new prefab. I don't know, what can we call this one? Maybe poison 1. Poison 1. We drag this one in here once again in our magic attacks. Then we need to get rid of that spell. Remove component. And we create a new script as we already have done for our fire spell in here. We just create a new script. So we go to our magic attacks folder, right click, create new C# script. You can also create this one in mono develop. So we say poison 1 spell. I'm gonna open this one up. And hopefully mono develop is not crashing. Again, we get rid of start and update. We don't need those. Again, we say it's inheriting base attack. And then we create the constructor by saying public. I'm gonna leave one space. Public poison 1 attack, or 1 spell in this case. And then we can again go over and take all the attributes and paste them in. I just copy them from fire 1 spell over here. And what we say is, we rename this one to poison 1. It's going to be a basic poison spell. Poison spell, which drags, I don't know, damage over time. And this has a base attack of, or attack damage of maybe 5. And of course it's not a bit cheaper than a fireball spell or fire spell, so maybe 5 too. Gonna save this one. And we can close this one off once again. So we can now go again into the abilities folder in here for the magic attacks. There is a poison 1. Make sure that you open this one for the inspector. Go to the magic attacks script in our scripts folder and drag this one onto our prefab. Pretty cool. So now we are able to paste all that information into our heroes. So what we can do is, in our magic attacks list we just created, we can say this hero, which is hero 2 in my case, can perform fire 1, and we just drag this spell inside. And hero 1 might be able to only cast poison 1. So we have a difference and we can see the differences, or we can just say this guy can already call or cast poison 1 and fire 1. So it doesn't really matter how you do that. You can fill the list up at least until 4. Later on we might go over and add a scrolling into the magic panel, or you can just say you want to limit that to be 4 and not higher, so you don't need to increase the spells, the spells spacer and panel, of course. Okay, with that done, we can go back and in our magic stuff in here, when we create the attack buttons, we can make the magic one work. So we can see and cast magic spells basically. So what we go over is we check at first after we created that magic button, we want to check if there is any skill in that magic list of our current heroes. So what we say is, if heroes to manage, and what we want to take is the first hero in the list, so at position 0, dot get component, and we want to check the hero state machine, of course, because in the hero state machine there will be all the informations we need. And what do we need in here is dot hero dot, and now we can go into, let's see, into magic attacks, and now we can say if magic attacks dot count, so the length of the list which holds all the magic attacks is going to be bigger than 0, only then perform the next action. So what we want to check is, so if there is any magic attack for that particular hero, we want to create hero buttons, or not hero buttons, we want to make those magic attack buttons, but not this one. We want to create a fire spell button and a cure or a poison in this case. So what we say is, for each button in that corresponding list, so for each of type base attack, for each base attack, we can just call this one, I don't know, maybe magic attack, just shorten this one a bit. For each magic attack in, and then we do all that stuff once again we just created in here. For each heroes to manage, just copy that line. We could also go over and catch this to save a bit space. So for every heroes to manage in one dot get component hero state machine dot hero magic attacks, so everything what is in that list, create a new button. And that's where the magic spacer comes in handy later on. So what we now do is basically everything we just created in here for those attack and magic buttons. So we say we create a new game object called I don't know, maybe just magic button. Oops, no typos, or if you do typos and repeat them all the whole time. We want to instantiate again. What do we want to instantiate? For now, we could basically, I believe we could just take the first button for, which is the action button in here, and just take this one for now. It will have the on-click event, so we might go and take another one or create another one. Yeah, I believe we do so. It's better. So let's do that. Don't or ignore that errors for now. So what we do is we go into our prefabs GUI button, action button, take this one, drag this one into the scene, no matter where you want, maybe in the action spacer, just to see that. And what I want to make sure is that I rename this one properly to be a magic button. And then drag this one back into that. So we will still have the layout element and the horizontal layout group, and everything else for the magic attacks and stuff itself, we will just do directly on the magic button. After you have done that, just get rid of it once again. And what I want to make sure is that I create another public game object for the magic button. So we say, and here, public game object magic button. We are just in the top where we just created all the other ones, like this. So somehow it's not bluish. Oh yeah, now it is. Okay, so what do we want to instantiate? We want to instantiate a magic button, and as game object as we have done before. So now again we want to take care of the text inside of the magic button. So we say magic, let's do that a bit bigger, magic button text, just, or this is just a variable again for it, for that instance, or for that, yeah, for that variable. And what we want to do is we want to say this is going to be the magic button text. No, that is not great. We need to rename that with a small m in this case. there shouldn't be any problem with that. So magic button with a small letter at first, so we don't have any problems with the other my magic button text in here. Or we just call this one magic attack button text. Yeah, that's probably better, so we don't misunderstand anything. And of course this needs to be renamed to magic attack button text 2. Okay, so what do we want to do is we want to take the magic button with a big M in here. Don't forget, don't confuse yourself, it's going to be very hard later on. And what we do is, again, we go to transform and find the child, and this child is going to be named text again in here. And what do we want to take care is we want to say .gameObject.getComponent, and what do we need is, of course, the text component with a big T at the beginning, of course, and that's it. So again, now we can say magic button, copy this one, paste. So magic button dot text is going to be equal to, well, magic button text, I'm sorry, it's going to be equal, nope, again it's wrong, magic button text dot text is going to be equal to whatever the spell name is we just have here. We say magic attack dot, and in here we have the attack name. And now we can populate this directly from the part we just have here and paste this one directly into the button. So we have fire 1 and poison 1 directly on the buttons. Okay, we need to create a new small script which sits on our magic button, like the fire spell button and so on. So, or basically on the prefab. So what we do is we go into our abilities. I don't know, where do we place this script? Maybe in attacks for now. In the script, attacks. What we do is we create a new C# script for this, and I call this one, I don't know, magic attack button maybe, or just attack button. I don't know. So this attack button script will directly sit on our magic attacks prefabs. No, not on this one. It's going to be on our GUI magic button. Let's drag this one over, or just go over and add the attacks button script to it. Currently it's cleared off, there's nothing inside, but there's no problem. We're gonna open this one up pretty quick. It is going to be an attacks script, attacks, and there's an attack button script. And this attack button script has not much stuff inside, just one small function we want to pass in later on, as we do with the enemies. But what we want to catch in here is at first a public base attack, of type base attack basically. And I call this one magic attack to perform. So I catch the attack we just choose by clicking on the button, and or is created when the button is, when the button is created, we will automatically catch the incoming stuff there. So, and in here we also want to make sure that we create a new function and call this one public void, I don't know, cast magic attack, maybe like this. And in here we will just have the connection later on to the battle state machine, or back to the battle state machine, and make sure that we are putting back the information of that button. We're gonna leave this one currently alone and go back to the battle state machine once again. And now we use the attack button script and populate, when we are creating the corresponding button, with that information. So directly into that public base attack. So what we do is we create a new connection to this one and catch that pretty quick. So we say attack button, in my case I just call this one ATB for attack button. It's going to be equal to the magic button we just create. Magic button dot get component, because the script is directly on that one. Attack buttons. This is going to be the component we need. The attack button script we just created. And after this one, we can just say ATB dot magic attack to perform is going to be equal to the magic attack we are just currently looping through, which is this one here. So we already set this one into the button and later on can paste this or send this one back into the battle state machine once we have chosen it. Okay, so when we have done that, we of course need to make sure that we place that button, or every skill button or magic attack button into the right spacer. So we say magic button dot transform dot set parent, as we have done in the other ones in here. And now we need to make sure that we hit the right spacer. In this case, it's going to be the magic spacer. There we go. And we of course type comma false. So we end this one by a semicolon. And of course we want to make sure that it adds to the list. So atk btns dot add. And what do we want to add? We want to add the magic button we just created. So if we have 100 of them, they will all be added to the list. So later on, when we disable the panels, we are still able to delete them or destroy them from the game. Okay, and of course I want to make sure that nothing is making problems. So if we have no heroes or no magic attacks in our performing or current hero, I want to make sure that I disable the button magic itself. So what I can do is I can say else, open up a new pair of brackets here, and what I can do is I can say the magic attacks button, this one, so copy this one in here, so magic attack button dot get component, and what we need is the button itself once again, and we want to say dot interactable, it's going to be equal to be false. So we set this one to false, so we are not able to perform any magic attack. I'm going to show you this one later on. Okay, so now we need to fiddle around with the magic input we are going to create. So we need a new function for this. Basically, it's another input type. So the first attack button, as you know, is the input 1. The second one is to choose an enemy, which is also going to be performed once we are done with our magic input. So we call this one maybe I don't know, input 3 or anything else. So it needs to be public once again. So it's going to be public of type void. So we don't return anything, and say just input 3. We don't need anything. I just make a small command out that it is going to be the chosen magic attack, if we have any. So what we need to make sure is that we of course take an argument of type base attack, and we can just say chosen magic maybe. So this is what we call when we are pressing the magic attack button. In our case, if we are pressing fire 1, for example, we call that function, and then we get the right information back. Okay, and once we are selecting that or pressing onto that button, we want to make sure that we know all of that input too. So we have chosen a specific attack at this point, so we know who is the hero's attacker's game object, who is the attacker, so the hero itself, and of course we need to, or we will know that we are currently in hero who's going to perform that action. So what we do is we copy and paste this one from input 1 into our input 3. And of course we can say hero choice dot chosen attack, which is in our case the fire one or the poison one we just have, and it's going to be equal to chosen magic. We just paste in, or we will paste in, or pass in from the attack button itself. So once we have done that, we also want to make sure that we disable the magic attacks panel, or the magic panel in this case. So we say .setActive to be false. There we go. And also we want to make sure that enemy select panel is going to be true. Now you may notice, hey, we didn't. Well, we need to say setActive, of course. So enemy select panel.setActive to be true. So now you have noticed we never ever set magic panel to be true. So that's correct. So we need to make sure that we set the magic attacks panel to be true at any point. Because in our input 2, for example, we don't do that. In our input 1, we don't do that. So we need another input once again. So in this case, we just create a new small input for this. In our case, it's going to be public void input 4. Maybe I rename this one to input 4 here and leave this one as input 3. So this is just switching to the magic attacks, basically. So what we do is at that point is, I'm gonna open close brackets once again. So what we do is we deactivate the attack panel. So attack panel.setActive is going to be false. And the magic attacks panel is going to be true, or magic panel. So magic panel.setActive is going to be true. Now we just need to make sure that we call input 3 whenever we do any input. I forgot to add the input listener, of course. So the input listener, as we already have done in here for the normal attack button, we need of course add a listener for input 2 in the same one. So that's where the line is open in here. So what we say is magic attacks button dot get component, and what kind of component we need is just the button itself. So we can take care of the on click event once again, adding a listener, open and close one kind of brackets, go inside, open and close once again, then we say equal bigger than, and now we can, as we have done in here, enter input 3 in my case. Oh, where is input 3 right now? I don't know. It should be this one. I don't know why it's not going to take this. So it's going to be input 3 and end the line. If it is so that it is not going to work for you, or you don't see when you're inputting that, you don't see input 3 in here as I have done, then make sure that you go over and copy and paste this one. This function in here needs to be called by the action or the fire spell or from any spell at any point. So we go to attack button once again. So we say GameObject.find battle manager. Whoops, no typos once again. Battle manager dot get component. Which kind of component? Of course, it's going to be the battle state machine. Dot, and what do we want to do is we want to call a function in there, which is input 4, I believe. And input 4 takes one argument, which is of type base attack. And what do we want to paste in is the magic attack to perform. So we say magic attack to perform, like this. So we call input 4, which is a function we just created, which is handling all our hero input. And once one of those buttons, whichever has that script on it and can cast the function, then we are able to perform this. So don't forget to save everything if you haven't already. And now let's test everything out. Okay, there we have a problem. We keep filling up action buttons into the action spacer because we forgot to add the magic button itself. So we go to prefabs, GUI, take the magic button and paste this one in here. Gonna retest this one. I hope it's now working when we are inside. If not, we forgot to, yeah, there we go. So with the magic button in here, we don't have that hyper-filling stuff in there. So make sure in your Battle Manager, Battle State Machine, you add the magic button. Okay, so now we have the attack and the magic button. When we're pressing the magic button, we will automatically get poison 1 and fire 1. Now, no matter if I press fire 1 or poison 1, let's say fire 1 in this case, well, nothing is happening. Let's see why. I believe, oh yeah, we forgot to add the action itself. Select the magic button once again, and now when we have the magic button prefab in here, we need to drag this one into the on-click event. We could also add a listener, but since we have the script directly on it, we don't need to. So we drag that one into the on-click event, and in function we choose attack button, cast magic attack. And now everything should work. So now when it's full, we should be able to cast any magic we want. So magic, poison. Now we are able to cast the poison onto enemy 1. We go there, do everything, and the same for the other one who has only fire on it, can choose any enemy once again. And now we have spells we can cast directly on our enemies. We don't do damage, but we will do that in the next video, I believe. Okay, that's it for that part. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed what you have seen. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me around, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And of course, leave a thumb up if your video was helpful in any way. So, see you in the next part. Bye bye.